It's a great day to be a coyote. Welcome, Coyote Nation, to another episode of Back to Pack Podcast, where we're going to be bringing you all of your favorite games, memories, and of course, discussion with our fellow coyotes. As a disclaimer, we have no affiliation to the University of South Dakota. This is a podcast ran by fans for fans. The ideas and comments do not represent the university. Our opinions are our own. Be sure to find us on Twitter at Back to Pack SD. With that being said, let's jump in. Do we have the Bob drop on camera live?
Bob drop is here.
The Bob drop. I haven't taken this off since Saturday. I was so hype after that win. I've worn it ever since.
He's just kept it on. He's doing chores in it. He's going to the store in it. He doesn't care. He's wearing it all the way through.
Kind of looks like a pirate, doesn't it?
Yeah, you look more like a pirate than anything.
I mean, as Jake said in an earlier show, so he looks like Carter Bell, right?
Yeah. Yep. Carter Bell.
Carter Bell.
Steve the pirate.
Oh,
yeah, Steve the pirate. Exactly. I think the Bob out's the perfect place to start today's episode.
Yeah.
Yep. Shout out Yote fans in here already.
Oh yeah, of course. He's always here for us. We'll throw him up there per usual.
Appreciate him.
Absolutely.
But I tell you what, this Bob out was absolutely nuts. I give it a full 10 out of 10.
I would agree. I think it was something we just had no idea what to expect. Like, was it literally going to be us three? Is there going to be 10 people, 20, 30, 40? Like, we had no idea. And
exactly.
Obviously the tailgating weather was not great for us, unfortunately. So I don't think there's quite as many people kind of wandering as we saw. But as you went from tailgate to tailgate, we found a lot of Bobs. We did.
And here, we'll go ahead and pull this up just so for the people that are with us, this was a picture uploaded to Twitter by the one and only Grant with a wonderful gift there, by the way.
Yes. There it is on the side. Yeah. I posted that and I got a ton of interactions as well. So that was our tailgate crew. So you can see a majority of us have it, had the Bob outfits on. You can see my two daughters too. They're sporting the red tie, had their coats on, obviously because it was a little chilly. But no, we were having a really good time with that. That was a lot of fun.
Man, we actually saw a lot of kids partaking in this too, which was awesome.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh man. And shout out to all of the ladies too that participated. We had a lot of Bobettes out there.
Yes.
A lot of Bobettes.
Bobettes. What did somebody say? Bobettes and Bobbies, right? So but I think it was a perfect game that we talked about it before, right? Perfect game for it because not the sexiest opponent coming to town. It's not a rivalry game or something like that. So just something fun to get engaged with. I've already shared with you guys, but I'll share with the rest as well. But at the conclusion of the game, I sit in section D next to the students, right? So that's where the team comes over and they do the fight song, and Bob typically does his post-game presser over there. So me and my dad, who are still in our Bob outfits, gave him a little wave, and he just kind of gave us a smirk in the head shake and the thumbs up, right? So
the exact thing we expected.
That's right. Which easy to smile after a win like that, right? 49-0, and so it was fun. I think it was a lot of fun. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun with it.
Could we have asked for a better overall just day and performance? I know the tailgate weather wasn't it, but everything after that, could have you asked for anything more?
No, it was right down the aisle of what we needed to see. Coming off a bye week, coming off of a rivalry loss.
Yeah.
Couldn't really ask for much better.
And the game day crew too, right? They did the best dressed Bob where they gave out the signed helmet. That was pretty sweet.
A little jealous.
Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a little jealous on that one.
I wasn't jealous at all. Yeah, seeing that helmet get given away, I wasn't. Not me.
So, Yote fan brings up a comment here that I think we should talk about quick. Should be an annual event. And us three have been talking in the background on this topic quite a bit.
Yeah.
The best part about this idea to make it a yearly thing, guess whose birthday is during football season every year?
Let me think.
Coach Nielsen. So the best news about it, his birthday is September 28th, which I mean, in general, usually lines up with that last non-conference game.
Yeah.
Well, next year it's a little different. We do go up to Fargo on September 27th, so the day before his birthday.
Right.
And then the week after, of course, is going to be D-Days. But the week before we go up to Fargo is Drake.
There you go.
So,
right?
I like it.
I'm going to set up a petition, or the Back-to-Pack's going to set up a petition here on this one to
There you
always
go.
have a Bob out right around his birthday, whatever game works best. That doesn't overloop with Veterans Day or Veterans Appreciation, D-Days,
No.
an away game. We'll see what weekend closest it is to his birthday, and that's what it will be every year.
Yeah, I think it's a fun one. It could be a really fun tradition to get started. Like I said, the very first year, and I was pleasantly surprised with how many people participated and heard about it, for it being just kind of for the most part, kind of an off the cuff kind of idea for us. So that's a lot of fun.
It was. But yeah, I think we will need to talk about it more. Continue to work with the game day crew like we did.
Mm-hmm.
We only had 2 weeks to put that together, and we had, I'd say, at least 30 Bobs.
Oh yeah. I would say closer to probably 50.
Yeah, it was kind of funny as the game went on. I was looking around the crowd and across a lot of Bobs in the loge boxes across the way. But then every once in a while, I'll kind of just do a peek up on our side, and I was, here's one here. There was way more than I anticipated, which is great.
Which I think we do need to make it a rule: no vests. I know he does rock the vest, but it was so much easier to find the Bobs that didn't have vests on.
That's right.
So, I found them quickly when they didn't have a vest. But Grant, I finally know where your seats are actually at, because you get your whole crew, the entire row stood out.
All 3 rows of Bobs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, it was a blast. I'm more than happy with how it turned out, and I'm excited to continue on. Hopefully it's something we can turn into a tradition to keep it rolling.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But go ahead, Grant.
You were about to say the same thing I was going to say. Is the best part was the game itself, because holy cow, I don't know. I'm looking through the box score, and I'm not trying to be a homer. It was pretty close to as perfect as a football game as a team can put together, like in all phases, right? I mean, the attack was balanced on offense. The defense pitches a shutout. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for from a results perspective.
Yeah, and we scored 47 seconds into the game.
That
I mean,
that's
2
exactly
plays.
what we needed. Yeah,
2 plays, right?
2 plays, all it took.
Unbelievable.
We'll dive into the weeds of it, but I think I crushed it with my tweet after that game. It is hard to hold an opponent to -3 yards rushing in one play, but to do it throughout the entire game, that's got to be impossible.
Right. And 30 rushing attempts too, right? You had, and I know some of those are sacks, some of those are pass plays or sacks, but some of those were quarterback runs too. So I mean, 30 rushes, -3 yards. I've never seen that.
It was comical too, because the people in front of us too, it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and they ran it for like 5 yards, and the guy goes, "Oh, dang it."
I was doing the same thing. I was scoreboard watching it to see if we were going to hold them to negative.
Well, they go up obviously 2 yards total rushing, because they held at -3 like all game.
Yeah.
And then Grace comes in and just ruins it and sacks him for 5 yards on the next play. And we all just kind of started cheering, because we realized, okay, that kind of solidifies -3 yards rushing on their part.
Right.
Unreal.
Yeah, our group did the same thing. We wanted to see that negative number, because that's I know for sure I've never seen it. I don't know that I'll ever see that again, right? Especially, I should say, at this level of football, right? You get some high school games that get crazy, right? But at the Division I college level, it just shouldn't happen. But again, it's just a testament to how insanely good this defense is. We are already the number 1 scoring defense in the country.
Yep.
And now you pitch a shutout, which makes that margin even larger from the next closest team to us. It's crazy. I assume we're closing in on somewhere. I think we're hovering around 12.5 points. Sure, it's closer to 11, 10 or 11 now after that.
Yeah, it's 11.1 now.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that they're doing this week after week after week. I think there's also a tweet talking about they've pitched 2 shutouts and then 2 other games where we've allowed only 3 points. So truly insane.
And that was those 2 games were Northern State and Drake, right? Were 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and then 2 shutouts. It's truly unbelievable. I put in my notes for tonight. This defense is no longer legit. They're now elite.
Oh yeah, this is a championship level defense by far.
Yeah, for sure. And it's we talked about this coming in the season. We had a bunch of question marks with the guys we lost to the NFL and graduation stuff like that. But man, this defense has just taken yet another step from last year's team, and that's what's probably the most mind-boggling thing. Besides some of the stats they're putting up, is just how much better they are than last year's defense, and that defense was really, really good.
Yeah, I do think we need to find a point. Hopefully, we can find another donor like Mr. Scott Jones, so we can name our defensive coordinator after him as well, because we're going to need to hang on to him as well.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so that's that's the crazy part here. Just gonna make one other comment is that we expected its offense to improve from last year to this year just because we had a new offensive coordinator, returned a bunch of starters, but the D was a big question mark. You losing a couple of guys to the league, right? Which is like very, very hard to replace in FCS. So kudos to this defense. It's remarkable.
Yeah, and Jake, hey, I want to give you your flowers too. You were the closest this week on score prediction, by the way. You had 48-3, so you beat Grant and I.
I'm getting this stuff dialed in, guys. I will say, I told you, not only with that, I said I expect this game to be the most perfect game we've seen all season. And I said we might look a little rusty in the first quarter.
Yep.
Because of the bye week. And sure enough, we went 7, 14, 14.
Which so at the end of the first quarter, I was thinking to myself, like, why are we only 7, right? Because we scored 43 seconds or 47 seconds or whatever into the game, and I was a little bit disappointed that we were 7 because they stopped us on a 4th down play in that one of those drives. So I'm a little bit disappointed there, but man, in the second quarter they took off again. But yeah, I just wanted to say that about the score, and then also I'm gonna purposely keep predicting a high total for the opponent just so the defense will take it personally from a week-to-week basis, because I keep giving the other team too many points. I feel like they're watching this and they're taking that personally and using it as motivation. I gave them 13, which is way too many.
Yeah, right. There's not a number low enough you can pick at this point, right? It was like like I said, I felt 10 was
you said at one point 7. It was going to be a shutout.
You had 7.
You were close.
I did. I changed my mind.
Though.
I did. I was leaning that way, but I'm like, that's such a borderline an unfair ask of a defense. But for this defense, obviously, that's not a unfair ask at all. When you're giving up, I've already pitched 2 shutouts and 2 3-point games. So,
I think we need to get into the weeds of this now, though. Talk about this game because it was perfect. Do you guys want to start on the offensive side?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, 20. Let's see. So I get the number right. 21 total first downs to 5.
Yep. 3 of those in the first half, by the way.
Yeah.
Salt on the wound. But I want to show you guys something here. What I think when it comes to the offense that we were missing is truly that it factor from Aiden Bauman. That one thing that pops off and you go, okay, now I can see us going to that next level. Surprisingly, I saw that in this game. And I'm going to pull it up. I got the highlight ready to go. This one is absolutely wild. I even slowed it down for us too. So hopefully this works out properly. All right. It was this play right here. So this is a route ran by Carter Bell. Obviously, big shout out to him getting into the record books again.
Hey, that was my pick for this game, by the way.
Exactly. Let's see.
So Bauman
Perfect. It's on half speed here. Look at this window that he throws it into. There's two right there. He had him beat. It was a perfect read because he knew what Bell had to start, and he was ready to go. The window, much tighter at the game itself, too. Yeah. When you were actually there, you watched it happen. Those two players converging, he hit it right where it needed to go. And that's where I said, okay, this team is legitimate championship caliber. Aiden's where we need him to be. Everything's clicking. We just got to keep rolling now.
Yeah, and he hit him in stride. And overall, his game, we've seen this now multiple weeks in a row where he's just been efficient. He's not lighting it up, but he's putting up 200-ish yards every game, 1 or 2 passing touchdowns. And it's just super efficient, and it leads to balance, which is something in the first couple of games of the season we talked about. Like, just give us that balance, and our offense is going to be, absolutely unstoppable. And I think that's what we're starting to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that play, Jake, that play that you just pulled up, I knew you were going to pull that one up when you said that. Just because, again, that play happened right in front of where we sit, and our whole section, we all just looked at each other, jaws open, because we went, oh my gosh, that was a dot. That was a laser. No other spot. It couldn't have gone at any other spot. And that was, you're exactly right. That was a jaw-dropping throw, in my opinion, too, just because of the window.
Yeah, exactly. Next level.
Yeah. Then, I mean, yeah, he does have NFL talent when it comes to the arm-wise. He's got a cannon on him. Yep. He's very accurate, one of the most accurate passers in Missouri Valley. But that was what takes you to, I guess, the Walter Payton level kind of quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to obviously win it this year.
Right. The stats aren't there. The stats aren't sexy enough.
Exactly. But that is a Walter Payton winning throw.
Mm-hmm.
And that now we're there. Now we're there on every facet of the game. We just got to keep rolling.
Yeah, and what were we, Jake, through the air? I know Nevin had a touchdown that added like 60-some yards to that, but we were like, 317 through the air and 305 on the ground, something like that?
305 on the ground, 317, or 305 through the air, 317 through the ground. So you just had a little twisted.
Okay, but so basically perfectly balanced.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, statistically, we've done this every game. We have been perfectly balanced. Offense, rush, and pass all match. Yep. But it's not just about the stats. It's about the eye test on this. It is the best way to look at it. And Aiden's passed that championship eye test now. 14 of 20 for 238. That's never going to pop off the page to anyone. But this finally, eye test-wise, popped off the page for that championship level.
Yeah, and I think, too, if you look at the O-line, look at how clean they've kept him. The last couple games, even against SDSU, I think about that game and one of the better defensive units in the league. They've kept him clean. Now, I don't even know how many sacks we gave up, but it couldn't have been more than 1 or 2.
I'm looking here just to double check to make sure I say the correct thing. But there was only 2 tackle for losses, 0 sacks.
Okay.
I was going to say I didn't remember a sack, and I remember him scrambling for one that he ended up getting, I think, 6 or 7 yards on. But yeah, I don't remember any sacks either, so I think that's accurate.
So we had one play where we lost a yard on the tackle for loss, and then the other tackle for loss, it was like right at the line of scrimmage where maybe it backed up an inch, but it's not statistically enough to do it. The only negative play we actually had in this game was Nevin kneeing out the clock.
Yeah, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we were cooking, and we had somebody pop off the screen a little more than we expected, and Karan Adams.
Yeah.
Dude went for his Randy Moss game.
2 receptions, 2 tutties?
2 receptions, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And for all those that don't know what I'm referencing when it comes to Randy Moss, he had 1 game, 3 catches, 167 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Had he had 1 more catch, we would have been right there talking about the exact same thing.
Right.
And look, right on cue. I mean, you can't time that any better on the comments.
Mm-hmm.
You guys funny where I get my football knowledge from.
Right. It's funny too, thinking about, we were talking about players of the game. It was like, I mean, there's no wrong answers in a game like this because there's so many guys that popped off the stat sheet and that were hugely important too. And I mean, we're talking about the pass game, but even on the run game as a whole, average 7.9 yards a carry on 40 carries is insane. Like, there's just
with 3 going a yard backwards each time.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Move that down to you guys keep talking. I'm gonna do some math. And
I think let's talk about Charles Pierce since we're talking. We switched over rushing. He had, I can't remember in front of me how many yards he had, but what did he have for an average? Like 15 yards. 15 yards a carry. I mean, come on, right. That is just video game type numbers. I know he had the long one for 83, which was really, really awesome vision, by the way, to have that little cutback and then see that gap.
But if only Tristan would get downfield and block his guy, we would have made it easier. He couldn't catch him.
I had to he's so fast that it didn't matter. But yeah, Tristan did not block anybody on that play. He's just watching the defender.
All right, so I did my math that I wanted to. Let's take out the kneeing out the clock 3 plays. It jumps our average up to almost 3.7 yards, 8.7 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Almost a first down every time we carried the ball. Yeah, and I think the nice part about it too, as you look through the rushing, LJ Phillips and Jones Logan both got, 7 and 6 carries respectively, but with those carries, they did extremely well too. 7.4, 6.8. It was good to see those guys get going as well and get some work in. Now, granted, I know it's later in the game, and but I actually think, some people say, oh, they're against the backups. The backups were not in for them, and everyone in the building knows you're running the ball. That makes it so much harder that you just have to, basically will it to make it happen. And the O-line and those 2 guys did it. So kudos to them.
I'm so excited for what LJ Phillips could do. Obviously, I do not want to wish away this time with Travis Tice. We all know for sure his last season
yep.
in the USD uniform. But LJ Phillips is a dog. I'm excited to see what he can do. And I know we're going to transition really well with Charles Pierre Jr. and LJ Phillips and still continue our legacy of the best running back room in the nation. Again.
The stable's full at this point, guys. Like, even go down to the recruits that we talked about in the offseason. There's just a long line of dudes that are ready to just come in and they're plug and play at running back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they can do, but they do a fantastic job of redshirting those guys, getting them fully geared up. I had my fingers crossed. So our boy Jacob Arope was fully suited up. I watched him on the sideline, and they started emptying the bench towards the 4th. And I'm just watching every single time, hoping we get to see our boy out there. We're at the point where you can actually see that. 2 games left now.
Yep.
Red shirt cannot be burned in this season. So you got a guy like Jacob or maybe Julius Ellens in the running back room that they think have an opportunity to do something on the field. It does not hurt playing them now. Play whoever you want.
Yeah, we talked about that at the game between our group, and that new redshirt rule, or not new, but newish redshirt rule is fantastic, especially that the playoffs don't count against it, right? We always think about that season, the season where I think it was Chris Streveler's last year. We played Sam Houston, and we had to burn like 4 red shirts on one playoff game because of injuries and depth and things like that. And so glad to see that for sure. But how about, I know we talked about offense. How about this defense? I know we've already been gushing about the defense in general, but let's talk about this defense a little bit.
So I have this stat ready because I was waiting for our flip to the defensive side. We ran 61 plays on offense for 622 yards, which is the season high.
Bananas. Yep.
Absolutely nuts. They ran 53 plays, so a lot of plays for only 129 total yards. With that, on that average of 2.4 yards per play, they were not averaging a first down in 4 plays.
No.
Like,
And we didn't have any true turnovers in the sense of we took the ball away, but we did have one or two fourth down stops.
Two. They
okay.
Got into our territory on one.
Yep.
They got deep into our territory on one. So I thought I was going to get as close as possible. Obviously, I'm not wishing for a missed field goal. I was hoping we'd get Will out there to hit a couple in.
Right.
That's where the 48 came from. But yeah, I thought we were going to get the 49-3 at least, and they went for it instead. Kind of root for the field goal.
At that point, when they were down like 21-0, it was kind of like touchdown or bust for them. They were in 4-down territory every time they crossed the 50, which they didn't cross the 50 very often, by the way.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say the field position battle got out of hand pretty quick. It seemed like we were just playing on our side of the field the whole time, which is fantastic. But
I mean, Carter Bell was catching punts at midfield in like our own 40. Most of the game they were punting from their half. So yeah, exactly. This was. I mean, I don't even know. Like, I'm running out of the words to say on this defense. I don't even know how to like describe like just how dominant they are.
Yeah. Just so you guys are aware, 101 of their 129 yards came on 2 drives. I was looking
probably
in
the first,
to see how many times.
Probably in the first quarter, I'm guessing.
And one of those was like a 40, 50-yard pass, right? They picked on Shaheed again, and they got it over the top, and that was like their one big play.
And that's, obviously it's nitpicking.
Mm-hmm.
49-0, but that's something we need to get figured out. These deep post routes against Shaheed he's been getting eaten alive on them. And I don't know what exactly is going on because I know it happened in the UNI game. I think there's another time that it happened more recently too that it surprised me.
Drake got him once.
Yeah. Not Drake because he didn't get a play in that one yet, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was Drake.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's also... I also wonder on some of those because it happens. It's very nitpicky, but I think I also wonder too is that because it happens so seldom, it's almost wonder if it's a scheme issue in a particular play, right? Where we've schemed up something, they've read it accurately and have just executed on it. Now, granted, you can make a play as a defender, but there's certainly different schemes that are going to put you in a position to succeed and ones that are not putting you in a position to succeed, right?
That's a good call out by you because it happens on plays where we don't have a safety over the top. He has no help.
Right.
He's one-on-one, and the guy gets behind him.
So what's the tell that we're giving away on those situations?
Right. And maybe there's a tell, maybe there's not. But to your point, they run however many plays you said, and they're one of them is one that we give up for a deep. You kind of live with that, right? And say, okay, cool, you guys got us on that one.
Right.
It's a catch-22 for us because 129 yards of total offense. We have to nitpick somewhere though.
That's honestly about it. I mean, and no penalties either.
Yeah. I was just going to say a super clean game on both sides of the ball, which always raises an eyebrow. I think the first flag came like mid-4th quarter.
With our second string offense in,
Wasn't it like a false start too or something?
Yeah. And then a holding later on. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should say they threw a targeting flag that got picked up, which I think we all knew that was going to happen. But
I was chewing them out.
Anyways. Yeah, I was telling them with the right call. Don't worry, they heard me. But as far as nitpicking, the one thing I will say, and it's not necessarily a nitpick, it's actually just something I'm surprised at, the way Indiana State's quarterback played, especially early, he was awfully risky, awfully carefree with the ball. Right? I mean, he was throwing it in spots that were ultra dangerous. I was shocked we didn't turn him over the whole game. That did shock me. I thought for sure we were going to get it, especially after the first couple of drives where he's scrambling a lot. He's thrown across his body. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a matter of time before we pick this off or before we get a strip sack, something like that. So again, it's a shutout, a lot of turnover on downs too, which I think people take for granted. Those are truly turnovers too, right? But I'm shocked that I'm just shocked that we didn't get any turnovers in this game. But it's been kind of a theme for us. I don't think that's necessarily our game. I don't think we're ever going to post a 4 turnover game, nor do we have to, right? I think we've seen that time and time again too.
So I'll say this: they blitzed us a lot, and on the flip side, we were getting pressure with just our D line on almost every single play. He was bailing out of the pocket within a second. I mean, he got the ball, he looked up, and he was bailing.
Yeah, he had either
he's running for his
Grace in his
life.
face or Holden in his face. Heck, honestly, he had anybody in his face.
It was everybody.
It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who was in there for the D line. They were all just dominating the guy, on the other side of the ball blocking him.
Yeah, I think you bring up Holden. I think it was a career day for Holden, right? I mean, that was I thought one of his best games that he's played all year. And initially, right after the game, I kind of I think we put up the poll, and I said, "Man, I think Holden's the player of the game." And then pull up in the stat sheet, and statistically, the day that Grace had it was video game numbers. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if you guys pulled it up, but 4 tackles for losses, 2.5 sacks, a forced fumble, 3 quarterback hits. I mean, that's just video games numbers. Where
he's a menace.
He is. He's truly. I think Jay Ellison said it on Twitter today that he said he's the most disruptive player that USD's had statistically since Andrew Van Ginkel, who we all know the success he's having in the league, right? I mean, so yeah, kudos to him. That I knew he played well too, but those stats just kind of make your eyes go, "Whoa, that's crazy."
When you watch him, this is one thing that I notice with him. The longer the season goes on, he's just like gliding out there. Like he's so smooth for a big man. He's got that. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's almost like an art with the way he gets out the ball, the way he can run and dip and dive and get around the block without much contact to really slow him down. That's why he's getting there so fast. He's just so smooth with those moves.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I honestly. Oh, go ahead, Grant.
No, I was just gonna agree with what Mitch said. I mean, he's truly a premier talent, not only on our team but in the entire FCS, right? So he's again, we keep saying it. We're like, man, he's getting better every game, and here we are again. He's getting better every single game. So, we'll talk more on Thursday about this, but it's bad news for North Dakota because he's getting better every game, and he's a serious problem for any team that they're going to play.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to double him, which they should, that's just going to create opportunities for other guys.
Right, and then we said, then Gase and Holden are right there holding their own just as well. So it's
How do you double him though when he's running as an outside linebacker and we're running a 4 down front?
You're shifting or you're chipping. That's all you can do, and that takes another guy out of the play, really. So it's just like I don't know. It's just total domination up front, and the linebackers are flowing well too. I know Gary Bryant didn't have like a great game statistically, but he had made a ton of tackles. I didn't hear much from our secondary really because the guys up front were dominating so much in this game.
They really did.
You couldn't.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't even getting past the line of scrimmage on their offensive play, so it was just that front four just feasting all day long.
Exactly.
Yeah, front four feasted, and the secondary got to enjoy the show.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you guys ready to get into the players of the game, offense, defense?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. I'll get us started. We can start on the defensive side. I'll tell you, Coyote Nation is voting right alongside where I thought I had to sneak him in there. Blake Holden is my defensive player of the game. And, statistically, he's not going to separate. Obviously, Grace had better stats.
Right.
That guy, though, I mean, you need to put him on oxygen after the game because he is just dead sprinting after the quarterback when he's scrambling. I know it's in the SDSU game, but now statistically kind of piled up in this game. He is a full-on effort guy. And that's all you ask for in this situation. And he is going above and beyond what needs to happen in that play. And he's doing everything that he can to win. And I love it. And so I'm going to honor that effort with player of the game for me, honestly, as a whole, but definitely as a defensive player for me.
Yeah, he
for sure.
To comment on that. And to comment on that, we made a comment in our group. I don't know if you noticed by the end of the game, he is every game drenched with sweat, head to toe. His pants, jersey are soaked, and we're like, to your point, like that guy is working it every Saturday. He's giving 150% every time. I love it.
He's the only one on the sideline that gets to wear a maroon jersey.
Yeah.
Why does that guy have a maroon jersey on out there? What's going on? Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
All right, Mitch.
it's funny.
Who's your defensive player of the game?
Man, see, this is tough because outside of him, I mean, I'd go Grace easily, but I really don't want to pick one, and because I just think it was a total defensive effort, and I would just
Yeah.
give it to the entire defensive line. I mean, we're beating this dead horse here, but like literally, it's all four of those guys, from Gase to Newsom, Holden, Grace. I mean, and you throw in we sub a lot too, so you start throwing in other guys like Dickel and some of those guys like even Hooper. I mean, we could name all eight because we do line changes up there. But just every single one of them getting after it, I think they all just dominated. So mine would be just the defensive line.
That's a good one. Grant?
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna make a similar comment to Mitch because that's where it all started and ended, right? Because like you just said,
Yep.
Hooper ended up with a sack, Dickel ended up with a sack, Gase ended up with a sack. So it was really the entire unit. I mean, obviously we can't dismiss Grace's performance because it's insane. Obviously, the Missouri Valley, he won Missouri Valley Defensive Player of the Game this week as well, right? So
he's top
statistically
dog.
speaking, he's definitely the top. But that whole defensive line, that was obviously their best game of the year, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, offensively, who wants to go first this time?
I mean, there's only like 7 or 8 guys you can pick from, and they're all right answers. So,
I mean,
exactly.
Can we just go all the above? Like,
please select all that apply. Check.
I mean, we talked about how about Nevin? Was that his first touchdown pass as a Yote?
That's a great question. Let's see if I can find it. You guys go ahead and keep going.
He had the 1-for-1.
No.
Okay, no.
He threw on the trick play.
Oh, that's right.
I remember that against you and I.
Yeah, you and I.
That was AJ Coons.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
So Nevin, just say with that kind of that rollout where it looks like that RPO action, and then he pulls the ball at the last second and passes to wide open Karan. I mean, that's fantastic to see. I think his confidence is continuing to grow too, which is nice for a backup quarterback because you never know, when Aiden could go down in a playoff game where he's got to step in. So I like to see that from our backup to get some playing time and then see his confidence grow and he hitting the open guys. So
I do chuckle at that play too because it was funny, especially on our sideline. It was very easy to see. Sometimes it gets tough for you guys to see because they get up along the rail, especially if you're too close.
Yep.
But our entire sideline knew Karan was open. I think before Nevin was even ready to throw.
Oh yeah.
Everybody went, ooh.
He had to stop. He kind of had to stop and wait for it.
Exactly.
I thought he was going to fair catch.
It was fantastic. It was a full offensive performance. You could give it to Charles for 15 yards a carry, but who opened those holes for him too? That's the D line or the O line. That's AJ Coons, Tristan Michaud chasing after a guy. It was a full effort on this team. I am going to shout out Charles though. That was probably one of his best performances on the season so far. In a split role, obviously he did a fantastic job against Youngstown, but this team, that was exactly how you need to come out of a bye week, rivalry loss, all that.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, for Carter Bell, right? I mentioned him as my key player of the game, and he finally he not only did he have the touchdown, which is fantastic, but he also had 6 receptions for 115 yards. So, he finally got over the 100-yard mark, had more than 5 catches in a game. It just seemed like we finally got him going, which is something I really wanted to see because I figured they were going to stack the box on us. We're going to have some opportunities to get him the ball.
Exactly. Perfect. You guys got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Grant.
No, I was just going to say from the offensive side, I was just going to say you guys already hit on it, right? You take your pick of who you want to do, but we already hit on it. But Aiden Bauman's playing his best football at the best time right now, right? We're heading into a stretch of games that even at the beginning of the season, we circled, in particular, these last 2 games at North Dakota State coming to the Dome. We've taken care of business, and put ourselves in position to win the Missouri Valley, right? Or at least a share of the Missouri Valley. So
right there.
I'm really excited to see what happens as we go to Grand Forks. But like I said, Aiden Bauman's got to be on there. He's as efficient as they come, and I think he's getting better every game too. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect. You guys got anything else?
I just want to give a little teaser for Thursday night as we preview UND. I'm looking at run defense on a weekly basis for our opponents, and UND's run defense is worse than Indiana State's. Now, that's not the case now because we destroyed them, so they actually fell after we played them. They actually fell behind UND. But I'm just telling you, prior to that game, UND's run defense is actually worse. So I look for us to have a big day on the ground up in Grand Forks.
Yep. And, you bring that up, and I do want to let everyone know Thursday is going to be a tricky day for our show. We're going to try to work out the logistics, but I'm going to be in Florida. Mitch, I think you're going to be in Florida as well.
Yep, I leave Saturday.
Okay. You leave. Okay, so you'll be.
I'll be here.
Down third. Okay.
Yep,
so I'll be
here.
the only one. It might be just Grant and Mitch going. I'll see if I can sneak in. But bear with us on that one. But outside of that, I think, I can trust Grant to run his show by himself if Mitch has to pack up. So
yeah, that's no, we'll Thursday. I'm looking forward to it. I told you guys, and if anybody follows me on Twitter, they probably saw I bought my UND tickets today, so I'll be heading up to Grand Forks for the first time. I've never been up there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to breaking this 40-year curse that the Alaris Center has on us. So this team's ready to do it. So with that, I will make one other comment before we go. To anybody listening, I'm sure anybody who listening is already set up for this, but NDSU game this week is your last opportunity to get tickets before that thing is going to sell out very quickly, whether it's Yote fans or Bison fans. So anybody listening, go get them.
And you bring it up, and I'm going to kind of piggyback off you with that. This is a list of every senior that will be graduating. Not a guarantee you will get to see every single one of these players in a USC uniform ever again. Get there. Cheer them on. I don't care if it's Drake that we're playing on senior day. That dome needs to be full for the appreciation of what these guys have done and where we have gone from when they were recruited to where we're at now.
For sure.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that being said, go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.